Hi guys, and welcome back to SAAB Stories with episode 2 of TalkSteer. We're doing something a little bit different this time around. We are having a chat with my father, Bill Bruce, who is the reason why I fell in love with SAAB and wanted to own one of my very own. We're going to be chatting about what we're doing next week. We've got some very exciting plans to share. Let's get cracking.
I've had SAABs for over 30 years. I'd had a couple on hire in Germany when I'd been away on business. So they must have been 900s. And it was typical of Hertz and Avis to rent out quirky things. I don't know whether they were on commission from the brand to sort of say, get people driving these because they might go and buy one.
Yeah.
But I was impressed, and I had a couple of clients who ran them. One guy, the owner of Volac near Cambridge, he ran one, and he seemed to change it every 6 months, not because he'd crashed it or anything, but because he wanted the latest model, and there was this flurry of new models coming out. And I just used to park up beside his wonderful 900 Turbo outside his offices and swoon, and I think it was great. So I'd had a road, I don't know what possessed me, because I'd had Granadas and all sorts of amazing luxury executive cars that were quick and nimble. Couldn't take them out at night because the headlights were so poor.
Tell me a little about the Granada.
I had a Mark 1 for a while, then I got the Mark 2, and I kept that probably for 5 years. I know I took it well over 250,000 miles. And all of my business associates used to call it my lounge on wheels because it was the most comfortable thing, and you could just drive forever in it, and you never got a bad back or anything. And it was indecently, it was the 2.8 fuel injection, and it was just indecently quick. And you know, people in their early BMWs and stuff would come creeping up behind you thinking, oh, I can have a go at him. No way.
Deep in the pine forests of Europe lies some of the most grueling tests ever devised by man. Chambers that sear at 22 degrees above boiling point and can freeze to minus 40. Machines that shake, pull and stretch 200 times a second. All these tests of endurance were built by Ford to test the Ford Granada. A car engineered to be durable and reliable. A car engineered to be quiet and comfortable. A car with all-round independent suspension. A car engineered to be sure-footed and to cope with the worst moods of nature. The luxurious Ford Granada puts the emphasis on engineering. Take one for a test drive.
But anyway, after that, for some unknown reason, I got a Rover,
Nice.
820i. I think I liked the look of it. It had a kind of sweeping fast back, and it was well reviewed, but it was well reviewed when it was launched. Nobody realized it was going to be one of the biggest disasters ever put on the road. We went on holiday to Southern Ireland, and it was there that I discovered the hard way that it shared a servo between the power-assisted brakes and the power steering. So when the servo decided to fail, I had neither power-assisted brakes or power-assisted steering, but we were on a mountain road at the time. So once we got back to the UK and brushed off the dust, I thought I'll go to Marshall's in Cambridge, which was the Rover dealer, and trade it in and get something else.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't want it. And I said, but I bought it from you. And he said, well, come around the back. And on the edge of the airfield, there were hundreds of them parked up because all the fleets had bought them because there were good deals going for fleet purchase. Yeah. And they'd all had terrible mechanical reliability, and everybody had chopped them at the same time. So they had zero resale value. Nobody was taking them. And I was just driving past Continental Cars in Stansted, and I'd looked at the SAABs for years and thought, oh, they look good, they look nice. But I thought, I can't afford them. You just can't. They're expensive. And I hadn't driven one, and I didn't know what was so special. But I drove in. I'm sure they were horrified to see a Rover drive onto the forecourt. And I said, you know, if I bought a new one, would you take it off my hands? And they thought about it and you know, sharpened their pencils and scratched their chins and everything. And then the guy said, "Yeah, okay." And then I pulled a real trump because I noticed there was something on the forecourt that wasn't brand new, but it was fully spec'd. I mean, it was absolutely fully loaded, and it was in a special color of green that I still haven't managed to work out which green it was
I
because there
remember.
were only 3 or 4. But it had been their demonstrator, and that was it. I was sold. It was spacious. We'd got the family, we'd got the 3 kids, and it was comfortable. The boot was enormous. Um, and we went everywhere in it, and it was just fantastic. And then, of course, you get a bit hooked. And you got to bear in mind that at that time, I had the Lotus. I had a Lotus Elan Plus 2, which to this day, other than the Saab convertible I've got now, was the best car I've ever driven. Most exciting, fastest, quickest. And it was a hell of a lot more reliable than people go on about. Pre-health and safety, pre-seatbelts everywhere. We used to put all of you in the back of the Lotus, and off we went.
Sliding about, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and holding on.
Is it true that when you are naked, you feel at your most vulnerable? Not necessarily. The 9000 from Saab, pure driving pleasure.
The CSE was launched in '96, and that was like the top-end executive version of the CS, which I'd already had. And I bought one from Continental in maroon, which was just, I loved the color. I thought it was brilliant. The inside was, I don't know what they called it, taupe or beige or something, but it was nice. It had the lovely sort of aircraft cockpit style, driver's cockpit. And the most notable thing about it, about 2 weeks after I got it, I had to ask you all to come out to sit in the car to hear the new Cooler Shaker single, because I'd bought the CD and we didn't have a CD player in the house. So the only place that you could come and listen was in the car. So the 3 of you boys traipsed out to the car in your dressing gowns and listened to this new record on what was incredible sound system.
Oh,
And I have
Saab always nailed the sound system, though. But yeah.
Oh, all of the Saabs I've had. And, I'm more grown up now, but when I first had the convertibles, I was very, very immature. I used to drive around with the sound system off full blast and the roof down.
I remember so well.
Everybody shared my taste in music. But it was just great. And, yes, and I don't like to overstate it, but yeah, it saved my life a couple of times. Got involved in a couple of incidents, which in another vehicle I might not have got through, past, or around them. For a car that was quite big, it was hugely stable. And having been driving a very high-end but sort of low-value sports car for a long time, I kind of knew about handling, and I didn't expect the Saab to be so stable in extreme conditions. And yeah, you had to suffer the TalkSteer. Great name for a podcast, I thought, by the way. But you had to suffer that. You have to just work your way through that and learn that. But once you had learned that, it was never a problem.
Yeah.
And I remember I took your elder brother to an event. It was an Apple event in Paris, and we were on the motorway heading back from Paris, heading back towards Calais. And a French police car pulled alongside me, having caught me up because I was going quite quickly. And just it was the thumbs up and an encouragement to go even faster. So, I just think that the brand has always had. It's always been. It's either something you get or you want to get, and people who don't have one seem to covet them, and people treat them with massive respect. I've never had anyone treat it otherwise. And to see a French policeman sort of saying, "Yeah, what a great car! Go faster, show me how fast you can go." It was good. And your brother can vouch for that happening because he was quite surprised. So.
I have to say the sort of burgundy red Saab 9000 has got to be the Saab that we had as a family, that probably started my interest in the brand. But I don't think I really fell in love with them, because I just saw it as a boxy car. It was a very sort of straight lines on the back, reflectors that went over the entire back of the car, and it's just very, square headlights and all that. And then I think I only actually got in love with Saab once you got the convertibles.
However, I have to say one of the things that I remember you enjoying from the 9000 was having your own reading light in the back of the car.
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know many cars that have that. I've never seen it since, but just in the back. Yeah.
It was the little things that made the big difference.
Yeah.
Really. The convertibles have been great. As soon as I sold the business and I had a chance to have a little bit of extra money floating around, and I thought, I want to celebrate this moment. So I went out and bought my current in July 2015. So I don't know how long ago that is, but I bought my 10-plate convertible. And I started putting the Saab away in the winter, again, not because I didn't want to use it, but because I just wanted to keep the miles off it, to keep it going as long as possible. And I have to say that's a counterintuitive decision, because the Saab convertible is the best winter car I've ever owned. It's the safety thing. When you're in extreme conditions and really heavy rain, snow, whatever, the car just doesn't put a foot wrong. It's just very stable. The heater on it is amazing. Now I've got the dog, and he loves with the roof down, but the air conditioning is also amazing. So there you go.
What are we doing next week?
Swedish Car Day.
We are Swedish Day 2024 down in Krukern, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah, Hazelby Manor. I've wanted to go for a few years, and I suppose I've sort of not wanted to go because it's Billy no mates if I go on my own. But now that we have the ability to have a family Saab convoy,
yes,
I think it'll just be great.
Yeah, it should be fantastic. And we're also trying to arrange some sort of a convoy, but a arrival with a number of other lime yellow 9-3 convertibles like mine. So I know you'll be the odd one out in your black.
I'm not respraying my car. I'm not.
Not for this one occasion, no. But that's going to be fantastic. A great chance for us to meet some of the other owners there, take a look at their fantastic vehicles. But then the day after, we are off to the Isle of Wight.
One of the things that I've done since I've had Louis, like my rescue Labrador, he sits in the front seat mostly, and obviously fully secured and road legal. But he loves his road trips, and one of the first things I did when I got him was pop him in the front of the car and run over to the Isle of Wight, because it's just such a great place to go. It's not that far from me, and it'll just be brilliant. But the views, looking back towards freshwater and everything else, is just eye-watering, and I always feel like it's going abroad without all the hassle, really.
The most wonderful thing with what we're doing next week is that this is the first time we're getting our Saabs together, isn't it? And that's like a lifelong dream for me. Me and my dad out on the road together in our Saabs. It's going to be epic.
No, it'll be amazing. See you later.
Thanks, take care. Bye. So that was me and my father, Bill Bruce. Very much looking forward to what we have going on next week. And we cannot wait to catch up with you all with the next episode of TalkSteer.